Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I've been a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, as always, here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick on the show today. We still have some earnings trickling in. We had FDX and ORCL after the bell, AutoZone this morning. Interesting call is being made ahead of an earnings report that is after the bell tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Amazon moving a little bit. TLRY is still in rocket ship mode. They had a headline this morning, so we'll talk about that as well. We'll, of course, take your questions from our chats on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. And then I want to remind you all at the start of the show that all the information, everything we talk about is for informational purposes only. Joel, what is the word in the overnight session?
Word is buy the dip. Once again, sold off yesterday on the tariff news. S&Ps went down, started turning around 7 o'clock p.m. You touched your 4-day low at 84.50, 83.50 your low, but we're 20 handles above that right now. We are keeping an eye, man. We got nothing up here until Monday's high at 29.11 in a quarter. That was also the close on Friday. So in a wide range here, we've already traded the average daily range. So we could have a lot of chop and slop today. Crude turned it around as well, trading up 86 cents at 69.54. We do have some interesting levels to look at in crude here. We do have a 2-day high at 69.91 and Monday's high at 69.72. Gold still just hanging out at 1,200, up 30 cents at 1206.20. Silver in the green by less than a penny at 14.23. Bitcoin range bound again between 6,000 and 6,500, trading up $52.50 at 66,270. Triple D, he is back in, I won't say the Motor City, he's back in Windsor. Drove back with his family. Nice, easy trip yesterday, Dennis. Glad you're back and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Easy trip. So you want to hear how my morning started? And I don't have my banners up yet, so you get a little peek of my office behind me. But, man, so I'm trying to get everything done in my cottage, get my boat wrapped up. And the guys are out there with, their torch, and they do the shrink wrapping around my boat. So I'm just standing there talking to them. They're up on my boat, just getting ready. I'm talking to them just for a couple minutes, making sure they got everything they need.
Your yacht.
And then I look at what's that?
Your yacht.
My yacht. Yeah. My 23-foot rigger, so definitely not a yacht. But anyways, I get my boat shrink wrapped, and I look at my hand, and I was like, I just got stung by a hornet, so I'm shaking off the hornet. Then the guy looks at me. He's like, buddy, run, they're all over you. I look down at my legs, and I have shorts and sandals on. Hot day, hot morning. I look down at my legs, hornets all around my legs. I get hit on the top of the foot, and then I get one in under my sandal strap, and he's stinging me between the toes. I get stung over here. So all in all, then I was, then I'm trying to get out of there. I'm trying to get the one out of the sandal strap. I think he stung me 3 times. I don't know if they can sting multiple times, but it felt like it. I think he stung me 3 times in between those toes there. But anyways, all in all, it looks like I got stung 5 times in about 10 seconds. 1 in the hand, 1 on the right foot, 3 on the left toe, which my left toe is all like, it got big from all that. So anyways, I kind of felt like Homer Simpson, like when I was like going to run away from the thing, like go find the water, go, the bees are swarming and go jump in a pool of water. But anyways, I got away. 5 stings. It wasn't fun. I was limping around a little bit on the left foot for a while, but today they feel better. I'm not allergic, thank goodness. I guess it was a pretty good test. I probably haven't been stung by a hornet in probably 10 years. So it was a good test. I've never been stung that many times, 5 times in 10 seconds, but it was not fun. So anyways, the boat did get shrink wrapped. We did take care of the hornet's nest afterwards, but wowzers, they got me.
And you called me for immediately medical consultation afterwards.
I was like,
yep.
Yeah, I called you for sympathy. I was like, and that's so bad. That toe hurt. It still hurts today. Anyways, they sting you on the big toe like that. That hurt. Right in between the toes. Like, it was dirty. that Hornet, he went like right for the soft spot, right between the toes, and like a little piece of skin there. That's where he was getting me. So, anyways, wasn't fun. Hornets. It was Hornets, Texas, Linda. They were all over me. It was a Hornets nest. There was probably 25 flying around me. I probably got lucky. I only got stung 5 times.
All right. So you came in the house, limping in the house. You put some ice on your foot. You turned on the computer, and everything was in the red, and you just started buying. You're like, buy the dip.
I
right?
wish, but I was traveling. So I traveled.
No, when you got home,
so I was taking yesterday off from trading as well. I got home, though, back in Windsor around 6:30. Then I got settled. Finally come down, at 7 o'clock after hours last night. Figured, well, we'll see what's going on, and we'll see if, you can make a couple after hours trades. Well, I haven't had these computers on for 3 months, so they all have to do their lovely Windows 10 updates. So you flip them on, they're like, oh, we have power all of a sudden. Let's update. So once 3 Windows 10 computers all do their updating immediately, is because they get turned on. Then I finally get logged in about 7:45, so with 15 minutes to go. And I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, we're down 10 handles, trying to figure out what's going on. One thing I will say is, like, you just don't start buying stuff. You have to figure out and inform yourself. Well, I've been off the grid here all day. So driving in a car, I did look at my cell phone a couple times, so I kind of had a feeling, but I didn't even know the reason we were down last night. So then I asked a buddy, he says, oh, it's trade war concerns again. So then you're looking, you're trying to figure out if there's any opportunities, but just not informed enough. So, you could have just buying a hand over fist. It would have been good because we're up here. And I don't know why all of a sudden, we rallied 15 handles from the lows last night. So if I would have just blindly started buying, it would have been good. But I don't normally do that. I like to make sure I know all the information out there before I start making trading decisions.
And, I just can't really say anything. I mean, you can always look at something afterwards and technically say, like I said, well, 84.50, that was your 4-day low. We went to 83.50. You can always make up technical reasons for things like after they happen.
Oh, yeah.
But there's really
show us this overnight range here, Spencer. Show us this overnight range, because we've, like Joel's saying, and even Spinner was saying in the chat, I mean, we haven't had a 1% move plus or minus in 74 days. Well, last night's range is 0.75% overnight. I mean, did we already have the range here, Joel? Like, this is it. I mean, might as well not trade.
It could be. I mean, it's 20 point.
What's the overnight range? How many handles?
It is 19.5 to 83 from 28.8350. Yeah, to 29.03. Right. So you can figure the math on that. I mean, I said buy Rosh Hashanah and buy more at Yom Kippur. And I guess people, with tonight being, Erev Yom Kippur and tomorrow being the holiday, I guess just buying opportunity was last night here. And we are up in between the holidays. So, I mean, I know you can't call it seasonal. It's just really a incredible phenomenon that, you think to yourself, okay, it works every time. The next time I see it, I just got to do it. And then you look and then you don't do it and it works right now every single time, whether it's intraday or overnight. I mean, of course, when do you buy the dip is when you step in, and what are your risk parameters and everything. But the market, and even China said they were going to retaliate, and still, we've come back. So, just trade what's in front of you and not what you think here. But it's 8:10 here, and we got to get some of the news and some of the
let's jump over
stocks. Yeah, instead of hearing you get
let's go to the pot stocks. They're exciting. Everybody likes talking about them when we do talk about them. Let's talk about TLRY. I come in here, it's making new all-time highs again. You can't keep it down. This Trump headline from Friday morning, from the headline where they're not going to allow anybody into the U.S. who works for a pod company. All of these stocks got hit. Some of them were down to the tune of 15% on this news. And it was a buying opportunity. And like we were saying on the show, I actually did buy some Afria on that dip. I took a shot. I was like, you know what? I think this is, and it seems like every time, like, not that this was a Trump headline, but it's his administration. It's coming out of there. I mean, if you look, every time it seems like Trump tweets about something, or, and it starts to go down because of that, it seems like it's near the low. And, we saw it with Boeing before. We saw it with multiple stocks. Trump tweets about them. They go down 3-4%. They're buying opportunities. Well, administration is not going to allow anybody into the U.S. It's working at a pot company. All these stocks down 15 to 20%. It was a buying opportunity again. And it didn't even last a day. Those things opened near the lows, hung out for about 20 minutes, and then started ripping. And once they went positive, they never looked back. Till right now, here we are 2 days later, has made new all-time highs. We're now up to $132. Shorts are underwater here. You can't find the locate. They're paying 10% a week or something to be short this thing. So I don't know. And they're getting crushed. Not only are they paying 10% to borrow it, they're losing another 10 or 15% a week holding it because it keeps going up in their face. Fundamentals be damned. They don't matter at all in this thing right now. It is all momentum. All the Momo guys are in there. Is it worth $132? No, I don't think it's worth $132 valuation wise, but it doesn't matter. They could keep going forever. Like we don't know when the Momo traders are going to break, and obviously, that's when they move on to something else. Right now, this thing is in a nice uptrend, and every dip has been bought.
Yeah, I mean, I could just give you the technicals here for whatever they mean. 133.40 is your pre-market high. Good volume trading, only $1 off that, so still momentum to the upside. I'll just give you that level, 133.40. Spencer, did you want to throw the news in there?
Well, yeah, the headline this morning specifically for Tilray was that they received approval from the U.S. government to import a medical cannabis study into the U.S. to the University of California at San Diego for medicinal cannabis research. So that's undoubtedly good news here for Tilray.
So they'll let in the study, but they won't let in the people that made the study happen. So if you wrote the study, you're not allowed to come in, but we'll allow the study in.
Maybe.
Bit of a joke, but I think it's still ridiculous that headline from Thursday night where they're not going to allow anybody coming in who works out of Pot County. How do you, like you were saying, how do you enforce that? And really, is this really going to be the case? Like, I don't know. It seems ridiculous. So anyways, I'm not surprised that headline got bought, but they'll let the study in. So we like the study.
And just in reference, when Trump canceled Air Force One contract, that was on December 6th, 2016. And I remember they hit that stock that day. And just let me figure
out. Like $5-6.
Yeah,
was
I think it was
a fine opportunity.
I think it was at 150 that it traded. I remember there was like a whole number. Yeah. It traded way below 150 in the pre-market. 150.02 was the low that day. It ended up closing green that day, and now it's trading at 357. So there's a little historic significance to fading the tweets, but man, just can't argue with the price action in these pots. I don't know what to say. Is it too late to buy them? I have no idea.
I bought the AFRIA because it pulled back. I bought on a Canadian basis, so you can bring it up and look at it on US basis. It's APHQF. It's APH in Canada. So I did buy a little bit on the pullback there, and it went up, like I was up 17% in one day. So I turned around, I was like, you know what? I just made 17% of my money in one day. I sold it. So I stuck it in the swing trading portfolio. It wasn't in the day trading portfolio. I said, I'm going to give myself $1. So it had went from like 22 Canadian dollars down to 15. And I was like, I'm going to give myself, or 15 and change. I was like, I bought it when it started to show life. Like they started to turn around and they started to all show life. And we saw a couple of the ones go green on the US. I'm like, if they're going to start going green in the US, the CRON had gone green. CGC had gone green. I'm like, this looks like it's going to go green too. It was down still 5% on the day. So I picked up some AFRIA, went green, and I was just buying it just for a swing trade. And then it went up another 10%, and it was closing up. And you can see, the trading action there. I was like, you know what? Up 17% a day, I'll take it. That's a big move for me. One of those traders who trades Coca-Cola and General Electric and Pepsi, you get 17% one day. I cha-ching the register.
Yeah, keep an eye on NBEV. This was mentioned yesterday as Coca-Cola.
Is that a pot stock?
Pot beverage stock, right, Spencer?
No, they're I think they're an alcohol stock.
Yeah, but they're working on some kind of pot drink. And
really?
Yeah. Yep.
Stuff like this could get hot. I don't know. I'm not following the story here. I will research this story, though, a little bit more. So you mentioned pot. That's why I took off yesterday.
Yep. Exactly.
It's like when the blockchain thing happened. Remember, anybody that mentions blockchain and the stock blasts off. Now, if you mention you have anything involved in marijuana, it blasts off. We're at that point. It's got to be a point where then all stocks are going to start trying to mention marijuana things, even when they're not really doing it. There's probably going to be some SEC charges or something, on some of these companies that come in and, obviously it isn't really their business model. They were just trying to pump up their price. But the stuff can get hot. So I wouldn't short anything like that because the Momo traders are still in these pot stocks. They are hot for pot. If you mention it, you're gonna go up.
Should we change our name to Benzinga's Pre-Market Pot Show? And
we'll get probably 5,000 listeners, just
Okay.
like that. Boom, 5,000 new people coming to listen.
Just this quick question here from Fuzzy on the tobacco stocks, and he's asking about British American tobacco. That's an ADR. I mean, I just don't know. Are these companies going to invest in marijuana companies? Are people going to,
they're way late to the party.
Yeah,
Don't you think, though, Joel? Like anybody who's investing in these things now, like think about Diageo. They were sniffing around here, but do they want to pay like twice as much as they were going to have to pay last month? All these stocks have doubled in a month, a lot of them. So it's like you're paying way up for these things now. I mean, you're going to come in and invest in a TLRY at this valuation?
I mean,
I would.
I bought Bitcoin at 7,000.
If you're a trader, it's one thing, but
Right.
I mean, these guys, looking like, and let's think about this too. Constellation bought right at the bottom here. I mean, they did pay a high amount for CGC, but when they were putting the investment into them, CGC was in the gutter here. So you can see an STZ still hasn't got back to the price where it initially did that investment there. So I think there'd be a lot of spooked companies. If I was, running one of these companies, I'd be scared to buy the pot stocks, these valuations, because they're going to slam your stock on it.
Just for British tobacco, trading down in the pre-market here. Pre-market low, it's 47.18, pretty good volume trading. I mean, first of all, the trend going into this for 2018 has not been good. So the trend is not your friend. I'd be concentrating on the low of the move as a stop out point, 46.07. That was your low back on the 11th. And you really feel like you need to get back in this stock. Maybe some momentum. Let's see if we get a close above 48.5. That's where your last three highs are. So until that clears that resistance, clear downtrend in British tobacco.
Jump over here to earnings parade. Oracle and FedEx reported last night. Oracle trading down. It's funny, I've been talking about this,
that.
and it wasn't on the show yesterday, but I would have mentioned. I've said it every time. It seems. When is the last time that Oracle actually went up on an earnings report? It's been a while. I remember one big gap up. I think we're going back into 2017. You can see the move from like 47 to 51. Since then, I think every single quarter. Am I right? I think almost every single quarter they've missed and went down.
Spinner mentioned that too yesterday.
Like it seems like clockwork. Sell Oracle ahead of earnings, and 4 out of 5 times it seems like it opens lower. So here we are. It's the same thing again. I actually sold half of my Oracle long-term investment. I mentioned that about a month ago. Still got half of it. I bought it back during the financial crisis. I bought it, I think, $9 and $15. I finally booked half of it just because it had gotten pretty big in my investment portfolio. So I sold off half of it, and I don't know if the growth is there anymore either. A lot of these other plays have a lot better growth in the database Oracle. So anyways, it's getting hit here this morning. Spencer, give us the details.
Yeah, the earnings after the bell yesterday. Q1 EPS 71 cents as a 2-cent beat. Sales 9.19 versus $9.31 billion. So a slight miss on that. They did add $12 billion to their buyback plan on the conference call. They gave some EPS guidance for the upcoming quarter or for the current quarter, and that was in line with estimates.
It's cheap. I just don't know if the growth is still there. That's why I lighten up the position too. But one thing I will tell you, it seems like Oracle always gets hit. And I said this last quarter too, after it got hit. But when you look at it 3 months later, it always comes back. It did the same thing again. So if you look, it gets hit on earnings, and then it slowly crawls its way back over the next quarter, and they hit it again. It just seems like clockwork. So if you're selling this dip, I mean, it's maybe safe for a little while, but it seems like eventually it comes back. So I wouldn't want to stay long-term short Oracle because I don't know why, and it always seems to come back.
Hit 46.10 after the earnings broke. 46.63 was a daily low that you are trading above. So let's use that, that whole range, 46.30. Also, you had a daily low at 46 even. On the rebound here, just before that 8 p.m. close here, you are actually this morning, you had a pop up to 48 even. So there's your range. Let's call it 46.5 to 48 even. That could be the range for the day here in Oracle.
Also at FedEx trading down on their report. Spencer, how'd they do?
FedEx Q1 EPS $3.46 versus a $3.82 estimate. So a big miss there for FDX on the Q1 EPS. Sales 17.1 versus $16.88 billion. So a beat on that figure as well, or a beat on there. They raised their fiscal year adjusted EPS guidance by 20 cents from 17 cents to 17.20 on the low end of the range. So a guidance raise, an EPS, a Q1 EPS miss, and a Q1 sales beat.
I mean, we've kind of just been shopping around. It seems like you get up into the 260. Look out to the weeklies here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Since 2018, so we started the year up around 275. We got hit hard. Went all the way down in February down to 226. And we made our way up at like the 260 area. Then we sold off and get down to 228. Then we made our way up there to 257. Then we sold all the way back up to 236. Now we make our way back up to 266. Then all the way back down to 222 again. Now we're making our ways back up to 260. Now we're starting to sell off again. I mean, this is like just range bound. I mean, you're at the upper end of the range when you're 255 to 260. You're at the lower end when you're 225 to 235. So I think at 249, you're in the middle of nowhere.
We mentioned this on the show yesterday.
I should have listened to the show yesterday. Yeah. Instead, I was getting stung by bees.
I mean,
that'll show me for not listening to the show. When you guys were all talking fun technicals, I was being Homer Simpson, just getting my toes stung to bits.
All right. It started the month of September at the 244 area. It had a nice run. I mean, it's even had a nice run since the beginning of the year. Did have resistance on Friday on at 257. You took that out yesterday with the 59.25, but you're pretty happy with that 257 sell. As you really needed a great report in order to take it higher. Pre-market trading has been a very wild range here. 246.11 is your pre-market low, and you've hit your highest level on that rebound's been 250.79. So once again, there's your minor resistance. And you talk about a range. I'd like to see that on the monthly chart if you're looking for this long term. I don't know if you're going to see it back at the 222, 225 area, but under pressure today after a nice run into the report.
Can I just say this is not the day to report earnings? Because I just looked at the other four stocks I reported this morning. They are all in the red too. So we are 6 for 6. AutoZone trade down 47 points on their report. General Mills trade down 2% on their report. Cracker Barrel, CBRL trade down 6% on its report. And I also wrote down APOG, which is trading down 9% on its report. What's with everybody missing all of a sudden?
Well, they're not missing. It's just a bad day.
What's with everybody selling on earnings all of a sudden?
AutoZone, for example, beat by pretty good. $18.54 was the cute man. $18 is their EPS. $17.85 was the estimate for AutoZone. So a big beat, or a nice beat for the AutoZone EPS there. The sales Q4 print came in just above the estimates, pretty much around $3.6 billion for AutoZone. So that was a good print for AZO, but it doesn't matter.
Wow,
down $50. I don't know. I guess 700, big psychological level. It's a level it broke out from back in July. Hasn't retested it since, so maybe that's the first test. What's the pre-market action look like on this one, Joel?
Just getting slaughtered here. Pre-market.
Straight down.
Pre-market low is 690. And you've had a little rebound off that to 700. I'm looking on the dailies here, and you have a trio lows. This is I'll call it 695. Ooh, boy, we're trading there at 696. So I do see some lows right there. If you want to get a little more picky, another $2 down here at 692.21. That was your July 30th low. Your July 27th low was 693 as well. So opening into a little bit of support, but this thing got Amazon, right? Didn't Amazon go into auto parts?
They did. Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yep, went into auto parts. You got the dip down to 590. You almost got back up to all-time highs. You missed it by just a little bit here. So
one thing's been consistent. It's like when things get Amazon or the things get trumped, they're buying opportunities. That's been very consistent.
Yeah, it has. It has.
It has.
This one, $700 stock. I'm not sure we have too many pre-market preppers trading this one, but just keep an eye on I kind of like it. I mean, if I hit any like the 740 puts or something like that, I'm sure they were wildly expensive. Just take a look at the 690 to 692 area.
Is there any of those other stocks that you liked on the chart here? Joe, Cracker Barrel's just kind of been hanging going into this report. It's making a new low on the move here, which is not good news. The restaurant stocks did not do great, though, overall this earnings season. Like we saw a lot of stock get Cracker Barrel reporting very late in the earnings season, or very early, whatever you want to call it, but it's very late. So, because they're going to be the start of our next earnings season coming up. But yeah, late to the party to report here, and the restaurant stocks were all rough. I mean, I can't, like I was thinking Red Robin got hit hard. There was a lot of restaurant stocks that really got hit. And even Shake Shack, got hit on their report back, and obviously not similar at all. But Cracker Barrel getting hit here too.
Boy, they hit it a lot lower. 130, is that right? 132 is your pre-market low? Holy macro. Yeah.
This again just goes to show you. I mean, there's no liquidity. There's no liquidity on these reports. So if you get one person trying to sell 1,000 shares, they might knock it down 10 points. So if you're trying to sell into an earnings report, I mean, you're nervous. A lot of times you might be selling right into the lows because there's no liquidity. And a lot of times, that's why these things overshoot all the time on earnings. I still think some of the best trades, especially if you got options to hedge yourself a little bit with it, is fading some of these huge moves on the earnings. Now, obviously, it's hard to just go in there and fade something. But if you have the puts or the calls, and you can actually have a hedging strategy to do it with, then it makes a lot of sense.
138 was your September 2017 low. So you did take that out in the pre-market trading. But if you're looking to cover short here, you can keep an eye on now 138 even.
All right, jump over here to let's go over to Tesla. I sold my Tesla yesterday. I dumped it out of the portfolio. I was off the grid. I had an order sitting out there that I said to myself, I was like, I think this is going to go up and test 300, but I'm going to get out. So I sold, I think, 299s right in there, right below the 300. It got up, got me out. I'm sitting here now I almost have a little regret. I was so wishy-washy on this one. I was still wishy-washy. Part of me wanted to have it because the chart actually doesn't look that bad here from a technical perspective, but I'm just spooked because I don't know what Musk is going to do next. And that's why I finally got rid of it here. I know Raz is still in it. He's probably going to be disappointed that I sold him out. I put it in the longer term invest portfolio so I wouldn't trade it. Immediately got down, immediately regretted the purchase. I only put a half position on because I was nervous about going into it in the first place. I bought it because my whole thesis was if they've held up this long not making money, what are they going to do to the stock when it actually starts making money? I think they're going to rally it, but I don't know if that's coming imminently here. So I reserve the right to rebuy this stock at a point in time, but right now I'm too nervous about it to hold it. I was thinking about it, not getting sleepless nights about my Tesla position, so I got rid of it.
Okay.
Took the loss.
You hit 300 psychological level here. You hit 300.87 yesterday, closed at 294.84. I mean, the chart kind of looks kind of good here.
Doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad.
And that was the one thing I was like, I want to hold it, but I don't know. You went down, you had a big washout move down there, the 252, came all the way back up, got 50 points back here in 6 days. I just want it out. I want it out from the day I bought it, and I'm out. Small, so I limited the loss. I was down at one point, I think almost 20% in this. I limited the loss to, I think, 6%, 5 or 6%. So I was happy to get out.
Okay. I mean, it looks okay. I just want to cover a couple stocks here from the YouTube chat. The first one is EA, Electronic Arts. And someone was just asking, they looked at the breakout here on pretty good volume on Friday, 116.51. And, 116 was a high. I guess you could qualify that a little bit of a breakout on volume, but the thing about it is where it closed. It closed over $2 off the high. So, if you see a breakout in a stock that's been in a downtrend, maybe if it closed over 116 but the fact that it hit that level, closed $2 off it, doesn't really classify it. That's why sometimes using the closing price could be a little bit better than getting the, because how many shares traded above 116 that day, but still trying to form a bottom in here. If you're leaning on the low of the move, that's 110.98. And then Dennis, you're gonna get a kick out of this. I asked people in the Google chat about how they found the show, and Eric Nan said, I found it in April by YouTubing the NVIDIA ticker and been watching religiously every day since. Remember when you used to get so mad at me when I called it, what I used to call it? NVIDIA?
NVIDIA. You're with NVIDIA.
No, our developers would like come over and like yell at Joel for that.
Joel's always was NVIDIA. And we're going to have like a nickel jar. I had to throw a wood nickel in every time he said it in NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA or NVIDIA, but not NVIDIA.
And if you,
which everybody wants to say is NVIDIA.
And if you get the developers yelling at you, you know you're in trouble here. 831 spoos are not moving since we started the show. The disappointment here, very quiet.
All the volatility was overnight.
It is. It's done. Dennis, you want to meet for one of the...
I like trading overnight. I get volatility a little more sometimes. What's the stat the spinner gave earlier in the chat? Was it 74 consecutive days without a 1% up or down move in the S&Ps?
Yep.
When's the last time that happened? Got to be years and years and years.
Not that long. No, I think it was probably a couple years ago.
It wasn't.
We went that long. We went 74 days without a 1% move. That was a long time. Anyways, impressive move. Let's look at imbalances here. A few sell amounts are pretty small. GE, the eternal sell amounts that it always has every morning, 138,000 to sell. It's like clockwork. Twitter. Let's talk Twitter.
No.
I sold my Twitter just in the nick of time. I had it on for a swing trade, and it started to look heavy up near 34. I sold at 33.95, I think, and that day it got the beats, and the next day it got the beats. Then it consolidated for 5 days, and then it looks like yesterday got the beats there again. The stock chart is continuing to be broken. Social media is absolutely hated right now. I haven't looked at Snap here since yesterday, but that looks heavy too. I'm still going to say we have a bet on Snap, don't we? Did we have a bet on Snap?
He doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, we got a bet on Snap. Yeah, we do. We have a stake in it. Spencer, you're fired. We have
no, stop. Do we have a bet on
we
Snap?
have a bet on Snap, and I have $10, and you got $8. And
Oh, so let's stop here.
Dinner. Yeah. Let's move on. We got Nick coming on the show.
Do we, Spencer? Do we? It was a Snap?
No, it was Twitter.
Oh, we have a bet on Twitter.
Yes, I wrote it down.
What was the bet on Twitter? I already forget. Did I win it?
Oh my God.
Did I already win?
No. It's 26 versus 34.
It's not. It's 27 versus 33.
Well, I'm looking awesome here now. Wow, I really got another steak dinner. You lose another steak dinner to me? Where did it hit yesterday? I gotta look.
Moffitt, Nathanson.
2043. This 27 looks like it's doable. Spencer's here to keep you honest, Joel. Because you would say, oh, yeah, it was Snap, and I won.
You know what? All you have to do is the chat has your back here, Dennis. Soul Connection remembers it. And who else?
We haven't made that many bets.
It's all on Twitter, too. I keep losing my ASS and Twitter.
I have got your number on Twitter. I own you on Twitter.
And I never sold it out of my long-term portfolio either. Oh, my gosh. All right. Omaha Steaks.
You know what? They're out of favor. I mean, Facebook is leading the way here. Facebook looks like it's ready. Here I am talking against my book again. But Facebook, with the candle from Friday, it's actually trading in the red here again today. Mark it up, but it's not. I mean, it's hated. It's taken down. I think we're going to see 150 on Facebook. I stuck it in the long-term portfolio, a half position. I don't even know if I'm going to buy the other half. I was planning on if it came lower to buy the other half, but the chart is just broken. These social media stocks are in a world of hurt. Snap is the one I hate the most. I think that stock is going to $5 eventually. Just my opinion. I have no position on it, but I don't like the chart at all on that one. And Twitter is broken here too. I think, I said 27 obviously on the show before. I think I'll adjust it down. I think my near-term price target is $25. Could have rallies. Obviously, it's going to go with the overall market, but this trend is not your friend right now.
So do you want to adjust our bet as well? If you make it 25 versus 35, I am never doing anything on Twitter again with you.
Don't bet with me on Twitter. I think I've taken 3 steak dinners from you on Twitter.
I know.
That's the one I own you on.
All right. 8:35 here.
Sell today, while I brought up Twiter, is 102,000 shares to sell on Twitter.
Bam.
No,
8:35 on Tuesdays, we bring in Nick Shaheen. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Nick is a fundamental and technical analyst, and Spencer is he already there? Nick, are you here?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you can stop talking. You can stop talking.
He's so sneaky. Nick Shaheen, we were just talking about Twitter. Let's get Nick Shaheen's thoughts on the technical breakdown in Twitter here through the 29. I say the chart looks ugly and could eventually see 25. Thoughts on Twitter? What do you think?
I don't like it.
I don't like it, he says. Okay.
We were long and got out, and I said I would be back in long if it crosses 36.2-ish, if I remember correctly. So the chart looks like it's not a perfect, it's loosely interpreted. That's how I like to put it. Loosely interpreted head and shoulders that's playing out. So the downside is technical, but more important, fundamentally, I can't believe that a whole bunch of experts are so happy about what they've done recently. I mean, if you track the activity on your Twitter feed, every once in a while I look at the quote analytics on there. It used to be in the millions, the impressions, and now it's like barely over 100,000. I mean, I don't go out of my way to promote it, but I didn't change anything. So whatever they're doing internally has to affect whatever everybody else is using it for money.
You know what I'm finding annoying with it is it used to be pretty good where you kind of went chronological order. I know, like when you just log on Twitter, it gives you what you've missed, and you do all, it updates everything.
You can turn that off.
Yeah, and I did. I shut that down. But now it's shut down already, and I'm still seeing a lot of tweets. Like I get some chronological, and then I see something from 8 hours ago, and then I get some chronological, I see something from 8 hours. It's like mixed in there right now. This is noticeable for me in the last month, and I'm getting annoyed with that.
That's been that way for a while.
If I'm trading a stock, and all of a sudden I see, it got upgraded. No, that was 8 hours ago. I don't want to see that. I want to see everything like right now. So I did turn that off, and I'm still seeing some stuff pop in there.
Yeah, Dennis.
Like maybe these are, I don't think it's promoted stuff, but I'm seeing like some tweet. If it got a lot of hits, they're still sticking in my feed from 8 hours ago, and I'm finding that annoying.
You have to use a Twitter client to avoid that. Like I don't use Twitter.com anymore. I use like Hootsuite and TweetDeck. And so
what do you do? Tell me how to do this. I'm going to do it.
If you go to TweetDeck.com or like Hoot, like HOT.
Go through that and it'll filter out those old tweets.
You can. It's like a separate platform, and you can just get your timeline in chronological order all the time, and regardless of how well a tweet does. So that's how you avoid that. I don't use Twitter.com. I haven't used it for quite some time.
So I should go to TweetDeck. You got to teach me how to do that. Anyways, I find it annoying. So I'm getting annoyed with the service even a little bit in that way.
You watch it too closely.
I mean, if I'm annoyed, there's probably some other people who are annoyed
I thought you're a fundamental trader. So what are you looking at Twitter for trades for?
I look at everything to trade.
So what was your level that you think you'd follow?
It's funny. I said I think it could go to $25. I just looked at your chart.
And look at that. It's like right
in the middle of my box. Yeah. 24 to 26. So I guessed your box before I saw it.
Yeah, but there is a level to look at it before that, which is kind of like a cluster back in April. Somewhere around the 27.5 probably. Yeah. So let's see what it does there. I mean, it's not a forecast, but it was a pitfall, and that would be the downside of it. And once it launched, I wasn't going to reload long. I wasn't hoping to catch a falling knife because I really don't believe in their fundamentals. I love the platform, but I just don't believe in their fundamentals. I think they can I've said it here like 100 times. Why don't they charge per click for people who advertise on there? Why the WSJ clicks are free?
Yeah, for the big media outlets, for sure. I mean, you're getting clicks from the other drive. It's free advertising for them.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree with you that they're not doing that and monetizing in the best ways that they can. So now we shouldn't charge pre-market prep though, because Spencer tweets out our show every morning. So we don't want that to happen. So only the big, only
the big ones.
Yeah, Benzinga is getting bigger though is the problem. So we're going to get caught up in that too. So we should actually be careful what we wish for here. But anyways.
All right, we got a couple. I asked for some symbols in the YouTube chat, and we're gonna throw Nick a couple curveballs here, and I'm gonna start my watch here and see how long it takes Nick to come up with the chart in analysis. TSG, the Stars Group Inc. I've never heard of it. The clock is going. I would just say it's in a downtrend here, and if you're buying this thing, you're leaning on a double, triple bottom here at 23.33, 23.50. Nick, any charts on TSG?
Well, I've never seen it before, but this is a pivot zone if you look at the long term. I was looking at the 1 year, and it's like doesn't give you many clues, except that there is a level that you can draw a box into. So I always look at what happened before. And it looks like if you just look at the weekly in the last 5 years, we're coming up to about the visual half of it. And the red and blue is the actual regression line. So it just reverted to the mean, basically, so to speak. So from here, it should start slowing down as far as support, the fall. Should, technically speaking. I know nothing about the fundamentals. So I don't start shorting it here. And if I want to start nibbling, if I'm long suffering, I wouldn't get out here. And if I wanted to nibble long, I probably could nibble long, but I don't know the fundamentals or the triggers.
Okay, Nick, that was 19 seconds on that. You were a little bit slow.
Usually you can get him up there in 5 or 6 seconds.
How about, well, no, if that's Nick. If he follows it, if that's on his watch list, he just goes in.
He puts these charts together.
No, that is not on my watch list. I just added that box.
It is still impressive time. Okay. I'm always impressed with how fast he gets those charts up there.
Crisp. CRSP, CRISPR Therapeutics, obviously a biotech stock here. Bad day yesterday. I don't know what the news was yesterday.
What did you do to the biotechs? Just stop. Let's talk biotechs just for a quick second, because I was like, a lot of biotechs got hit pretty hard yesterday.
Well, technically they were vulnerable, if I remember correctly. I looked at the IBV, and it was set up to be vulnerable.
I think we talked about that last week, Nick. I remember talking about the biotechs looking a little bit heavy.
Here is the IBV chart that I drew, and it kind of like started the breakdown, but not quite. So I've shorted it before, and it was recently actually, and it played out a little bit, but I didn't want to press it because I don't have a fundamental reason to press it. So it was just trying to get a quick short on it. So if you want to short the markets, this will be vulnerable too, but they're a hard bunch to short because they are momentum stocks. So
and the news as well. I mean, these things are very, very affected by the news. All right, I'm going to throw an easy one out there for you, and not an easy.
But by the way, that crisp thing, it has more risk. If it loses, I bet you the 47.80, it could have another leg down to like 44. So
yeah, that was not good.
The biotechs don't look good. Like there's individual ones too, and you can look at the XBI to get a feel. That was an ugly candle for it yesterday. They started to look like they're getting heavy. I actually sold my Bluebird Bio here too. I took some losses yesterday in my investment portfolio because they had that competing drug. I forget who it was that had the competing drug announced with them just a week and a half ago, and it bounced back about 10, 12 points after making that low. And I was like, you know what? I'm almost scratch on this. I'm going to get out of this. And actually, I was up significantly, and I bought like 156. It went up to 176 and was looking good. It was on more for a longer term trade, though. It wasn't, I wouldn't say necessarily invest. It was on the watch list, but then it broke down so quickly. It was like 5 days straight down. And then the bad news came out. It's like people always know or something about the competing drug. It popped back up after that, and I was like, no, thank you. And I'm glad I actually took it off. I took it off the 150s, I believe, and it's now 137, breaking down again yesterday. These biotechs not looking great.
Okay.
No, they're definitely not an obvious long, but unless you know something about them.
Yeah, individual ones always can go, obviously, on news. And just speaking of that, you can look at VKTX today, which is Viking Therapeutics. I mean, individual stock news goes, and boom, up 130% here today. VKTX, it must be some pretty good drug news there.
Speaking of up 100%, TLRY last week, I don't know if we talked about it, pot stock. I know nothing about it.
We talked about it already on the hop, but we'll talk about it again. They like this.
Oh, never mind.
Go ahead. No,
let's
go
talk
ahead,
about it
Nick.
again. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, I shorted CGC in the Canopy, and we made money on it. I can't believe it because the whole market was going up. All the pot stocks were going up. Canopy fell, and then I said, okay, it hit our target. Let's get out and roll along into TLRY. And that was like on the day TLRY dipped with that bogus headline. As soon as I saw the headline about the borders, it's like, this is a bunch of rigatoni. Let's go along something. We closed the short that day on the Canopy, and I rolled all of my profits into long TLRY, and it's been
really
nice.
So now it's up at $135. Do you take some off here now? You're up 30 points in 2 days.
I'm playing with house money right now. I'm not taking anything off. So I'm just gonna see what happens.
Nick, did you say that's a bunch of rigatoni?
Yeah, it's a bunch of BS. It was a headline that made no sense.
We talked about it on the show that day. We couldn't make sense of it. So, and we actually, and I said coincidentally, I don't know if you listened earlier, I actually bought some Afria that day on the pullback because that's a big one in Canada there. It's APHQF over here. And I just thought that it had pulled from $22 down to 15.5 in like 3 days. And most of it, a big chunk of the move was on this headline. I just thought it was overdone.
I know nothing.
I faded that headline.
And I know nothing about pot stocks. In the chat room, we have a whole bunch of people that follow them and have been invested in them for a while. So I was like, okay, I'm going to join the fold. But the way it worked out, it was one of those like perfect moves. And, I enjoyed them when they come, kind of like IQ when it first started. And I don't know anything about them. I mean, the idea sounds good. The fact that, beer is going to have competition from pot drinks and such. And so it's a speculation, it's a spec play, and it's then to start it out well, there's no reason to close all of it. I usually leave runners, even into the uncertainty of the October date, whatever is going to come into play in October. And I think this one, TLRY has lockup expiration somewhere in January too. So if you want to keep those dates in mind.
Nick, wild child here, stock just unbelievable volume and movement. AMD trading up 67 cents. I actually attempted my second short in that. I think it lasted maybe an hour and a half, and took a small loss on it. I mean, this thing is a beast. I think I got hit yesterday with everything else, just rocketed right back up. Now the $33 level looks important here. You had a couple highs at what, 33.10, 33.33. But what do you think? I mean, the trend is up. This one, hard to fight it.
Good for you to identify when to get out of a short. So this is I wouldn't touch it at this level. Like I said before, we saw it coming, the breakout, but I never thought it would carry this far. So they must know something I don't, because I'd be shocked if they live up to all the expectation that's building into the stock right now. I'll be pleasantly shocked. I mean, it must be something technically fantastic that's going to be like revolutionary. I'm sure somebody in your room can probably argue to that.
Yeah,
but
they're going to be the only person selling chips. I mean, that's
okay.
it.
So you can buy AMD at num div PE or something like
that. I don't make money.
Yeah, something like Micron that is been beaten down to $40, which is like 4 PE, trailing PE. So yes, it could be a value trap. I'd rather risk my money on a value trap by selling puts under it to generate income rather than try to chase AMD or short it. Because why would I want to short the healthiest gazelle in the pack? I want to get one that's limping.
Sweet. Okay.
I feel like it's just got to make another run here again. I've tried to short this multiple times too. I've been wrong every single time, and glad that I have the low risk tolerance that I cover these shorts because I'd be in a world of hurt. That's the one advantage of being a smaller trader too. I mean, if you're a big institutional trader, it might take you a while to put this on. Maybe not AMD because the volume's so liquid. But if you're a big institutional trader, you got to hold it a little longer and you got to give it a little more wiggle room. And I mean, if you were given this wiggle room on the short side, you're getting punished. I like to get in and out. And if it doesn't work, and it looked like, after that one big red candle, I thought, well, maybe, this is going to be the top. It comes right back. It just keeps coming right back. So I'm done trying to short this thing.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's not a happy thought.
I'll give you an easy one here. Nike had the news with Kaepernick, and we talked about this one on the show. Buy the dip on this one. I will say, wow, it's up 62 cents here. Is this a bogus?
Yeah, no, there's a rating. There was a rating
change. Okay.
I don't know if it was an upgrade, but it was commentary. I remember seeing it. I didn't write it down. So Spencer, did you see something Nike? I'll go take a look.
No, I'm looking though.
I'll go look while Nick.
They also have earnings. Nike does next week. Keep that in mind.
Let me just quickly Nike. I saw something.
So Nike, it's one of those too hot to chase, too hot to short and too high to chase. So it did have its moment. It looked like it was building a head and shoulder, but it never came to fruition. So at this level, there's no way I can chase it. And I don't want to short it unless I want to short the markets in general. So I don't have a reason to short it. And again, this is one of those gazelles that is running and kicking its feet. There's no reason to short it. And it's okay to miss a trade for a little bit. It'll come around.
Canaccord had some positive commentary today, and they were saying the Nike ad was starting to show some support. So this technically, it hangs out here for a couple of days. I mean, and I just look at them this way. You had the big dip afterwards, come back up. It's right at resistance where it struggled before. If it starts taking out $84, I'm going to say, I almost wonder if there's something in the book. Let me look. 84. We went through 84, Joel?
No.
I'm going to look at the book right now. Hang on.
No.
If there's something at 84, if we could take that out, which we're going to test here today again. I'm looking in the book. Not much, 17,000 shares. At 85, there's 148,000 shares. So I'd say above 85, then it opens up big time. So if it get above 84, then you're going to maybe make a shot at 85, and you get up there and take out that 140,000 share seller at 85, you could be off to the races. I like it long.
So have you guys discussed FedEx already? I don't want to.
No, go ahead. Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Mention it again.
Okay, so they're reported and they're down a little bit. I took a lot of put calendar on it yesterday, so maybe I'll make some money on that and Oracle. But FedEx, if it holds 250 as far as a dip is concerned, area, that's the neckline from which they just broke out recently. So it could come out and challenge that line on the, it could have a breakout soon. Depends on where it finds footing here and where the whole market goes.
Yeah, so FedEx down 6 points because of their earnings report. So it's getting a little bit of heat there, but you're thinking this one could bounce back.
Well, if it holds, depends on where it settles.
Okay.
So if it stays above 248, 250 area, it could, settle that prior, resistance to become forward support. And if that's the case, then they could tackle 260. That's a descending trend line from two pokes before on a daily chart I just posted. It's basically upper white line. So if the trend line breaks, it might invite some momentum buyers.
You know what's showing some life here, just going back to the retailers for a second, is Joel's Albrands, LB, getting an upgrade here this morning from Bank of America, is trading up 2.3% in the pre-market, so it's trading 29.11 here right
Holy
now.
cow.
I want to get your technical thoughts here. Albrands been in the gutter forever. It's one retailer that just hasn't come back. It's got the big 8% dividend, which, I don't know is safe or not. When you see them up to 8%, you often think they're not safe. But thoughts here, LB?
I had to go to a monthly chart to give you any thought, other than the fact there is a descending wedge and it's at a pivot point from, 2010. So back in 06, it had a poke high that was resistance, and it hit it again in 2010, and they finally broke out of it in March of 2011. They just fell into it. So if you think that prior resistance is forward support, if you want to consider it, to me, it's too long. You're just betting on the fact that this sharp descending wedge is going to break upwards at some point, kind of like Teva did it, I think, speaking from memory, something like that.
Nick, one more. We'll let you go. Caterpillar.
So Cat, is it up today? I didn't check. It's a China stock in that it's in the line of fire of these headlines. And I think this morning's pop is a relief pop on the China news. The news was as bad as it could be because A, it's all of it on the line, and B, it's 25%. It's just a matter of time. So if they don't get to talking between now and January, we will have a 25% on 550 billion, however much we import. So the interest rates, keep your eye on interest rates. I say this because Cat's connected to this fear of the China trade. It has disappointed me this year. I like the fundamentals, but I just can't go long it too long because of this headline shock. You'd have a beautiful trade setup, and then the headline comes out, boom, you're crippled again. So if I'm long, I'm staying long. But to initiate longs, I'd have a tight stop on it for sure.
Nick, I just want to finish and wrap up here. I mean, you've been pretty consistent talking about the headlines. The headlines are going to come, and you've looked at. So far it's been a buying opportunity, but here, we're 20 handles off the low here. And all the bad news is out. Man, oh man, well, I think it's one thing when you open up and you test the pre-market low and you're right there and you got a lower risk trade. But now, like you say, buying other people's profits here. Is this the day we're just going to blast off and, rally 25 handles on this bad news? Well, I just want to see how you're approaching it.
My take on this is we have tested support, but this quote accident of last night's headline I mean, they were literally counting the minutes for it to happen. So if you're in a
know.
car and it's spinning in slow-mo, you're going to hit the wall, everybody braces for impact. So it doesn't have a lot of damage. So that's, I think, what happened last night. But I think there are a couple of scenarios. We'll be at 28-17 or 29-65 in a few weeks. That's my opinion. Neither of them is game changing. The 28-17 would be just retesting a neckline we broke out of like a couple of months ago. And the 29-65 has been the upside target after we took out the targets that we had before that. So just trade the price action. The fundamentals are still kind of the same,
Right.
And just find tickers within that.
All right, we've been on the line with Nick Shaheen. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Joins us every Tuesday morning to give us his technical and fundamental outlook and sometimes comical outlook on the market too, Nick. Thanks a lot, Nick. Any final comment?
Yeah, the rigatoni thing was an inside joke with a few friends, and it's just basically a bunch of calling somebody BS.
Okay. All right. We got it. All right. We'll talk to you soon. S&Ps continue to grind here, up 675 here at 2902.75. We're in no man's land here, up to your Friday close at 2911.50. And Monday's high was right at that level too. So I really honestly cannot give you a level on the upside here to, good resistance on the downside. Maybe come back down and test the mid-range, 2693.75. Dennis, did we covered any ratings at all today?
Well, we mentioned a couple. One I would mention is Red Hat getting downgraded JP Morgan, which is a gutsy call because it's going to report tomorrow night. So they are downgraded ahead of the report. Maybe they're seeing, some of the cloud stocks got hit a little bit on their reports, but they seem to always bounce back. This one's down $2.67 on the downgrade here. I don't know if I'm coming here selling ahead of the report though or not, but I've got no position on it. I'm not sure if I intend to take a position or not, but I'll just say it's a very gutsy call from JPM.
Yeah, rarely. It's usually after the earnings that they see that. So maybe they have a good inclination of what's going on. Stock has been in downtrend. Last earnings report wasn't great. Just hanging out at 142. I'm trying to see here if there's anything at 142. No, not really. If you're looking for more on the downside here from the call, your August 27th low was 140.87.
Hey, Dennis, I just want to say right now that don't make any bets with Joel right now. He's got the hot hand. All right. And I mean that literally because
why? I'm beating him on Twitter.
Well, so while Nick was on just then, Jason Rasnick came over to our desk and he gave Joel what I assume are a pair of game-used Michigan football gloves, and he's wearing them. He's
right
literally
now.
wearing. You put them on.
Right now.
Beautiful.
Put it on the screen.
I did. There's the sweaty football player hands, and Joel put his hands in those gloves.
Right there.
Do we know which player?
I wanted to be Donovan People-Jones, who had 3 touchdowns, but it's not. It's Grant Perry. And do they do the M too with that? Do they do that? Nick, do you know how they do that?
Dude.
The M with the gloves, or is that?
How do you do that?
Look at that.
He's trying to make an M shape with his hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not thrilled about the Air Jordan here on the back, but that's okay. But yeah, look at this.
So he's got the high hand.
Nike promotion. We're bullish Nike.
It's a little hard to type with those things. Yeah, Nike. Yeah, Nike promotion here. So we'll get that out. But yeah, I probably won't take these off for like 3 or 4 days. Pretty good. I could probably play wide receiver for Michigan with these. I could catch anything.
How do I get a pair of gloves? I want a pair of gloves. It's cold here in Canada.
All right. I told Jason that you sold your Tesla. He's not.
He's shaking his head.
Yeah,
he's so disappointed in me.
He is. So this will be your last show. No,
I'm getting booed off now.
No, he didn't. He can't come on today. He's kind of busy. He's in a fast market over there. So he will come on tomorrow to talk to you about your.
Talk me back into it.
Yep.
I can scalp 2 points right now.
Back into ratings, though, a couple more downgrades. UAL, United Continental, catching a downgrade this morning from Macquarie down to neutral.
These airlines have brand. So you want to talk about stocks and run? Check out Save, Spirit Air. $35 back in July,
oh, wow.
$49 here in September. I mean, and if you look historically and just go out a little bit further, you're starting to run into an area on a few of these where it's struggled before. I mean, UAL has been hot, but SAV has struggled up there. It was 49.50 area in 2015, 2016. Did take it out at the beginning of 2017, but these things have ran pretty far. Late to the party, fine now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, these airlines, and then what a grinder of a move in this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, really small and ran. Like this would have been one if you would have bought calls instead of buying it, you would have like made no money as the premium just would have evaporated here. Let's see, trading up 70 cents here. That's a big move. What traded there? Now 1 and 4 and 5 shares have traded. So odd lot of Hanover here. I would still look at 49.27. That was your close. 49.63. We'll see when the real liquidity comes in here in just about 1/2 hour. Okay, Dennis, I know you're just trying to get your sorts back here and getting back into the market. Big range overnight. Anything special you're concentrating on?
I'll probably just get the feelers back. I'll probably take it somewhat easy. I mean, it had a wild overnight range here. One thing I will be a little bit cautious just coming in. Whenever you take a day off, you got to get the feel back for it. So, but we got hit pretty hard on a lot of these tech stocks yesterday. Now we're getting the relief rally here overnight. Just caution here when I look at these. You often have a lot of people that are saying, "Okay, I'm getting some of my money back about these 2 days ago. I'm going to cut the loss, or or maybe be able to scratch the trade." So I think you could have a little bit of overhead supply in some of these techs that got hit yesterday. So caution to the buyer here on this. I think it's just a relief pop, but just I'm sitting. I'm not very convicted with that. So I'm just saying caution. Using caution.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, file through the pre-market high of 29.04. We've had a 21.5 point range here, so I could just see, one of these days where you just chop and slop, end up, unchanged on the day. Your first level of support will be the close from yesterday at 28.96. All right, Dennis, we will let you go here. We could stay on a few more minutes. If there are any tickers that you guys want to see if there's any news on or look at the price activity, someone did when Nick was on. They came on and they asked about VKTX here, Viking Therapeutics, and we do have some news. Is it VKTX? Is that we do have some news on that one. Spencer, you have the news in front of you?
Yeah, they announced top-line results from a phase 2 study that achieved the primary endpoint and showed significant reductions in patients with cholesterol.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, if I was long this stock, someone was asking about a day trade. So if I was long this, I probably would have sold it long ago if I was trading in the after hours in pre-market. You made a high right on that headline when it came out. This was at 7:45 this morning. You went up to 28.75. So the good news is it's up $12. The bad news was it's up $18. It was up 18. So to me, it's a little bit of a downtrend. If you did not want to hold up for the pre-market high, someone has targeted $25.80 and $26. After you've hit that high, it had a little bit of a rebound. Sellers have ganged up at 26. So if you could hold the open here and you could rally, I would look at 26. And then, of course, your pre-market high of 28.75. But there's a lot of people that are sitting on a lot of profits here. Stock's up 120%. Just a few weeks ago, it traded 13.37. Obviously, a lot of people were looking for a bad report on this. You went from 13.37 to 10.31. So you sold off in anticipation of bad news. You got good news here. So I don't know, all the people that bought it, and also going back, Spencer, I can tell you a story about this stock after we're done. It's a good story.
What does that mean?
948. That was your former all-time high, and that was made in April of 2015. So there's an outlook. I mean, if you're trying to go long here and you want to take a stab on the open, you think it's going back to 28 change, I mean, give yourself a tight leash. Or maybe if you get one of these where it opens, goes down, you get a little bit of a flush, and then you come back up through the high, then you could use that first, that initial low, whether you're a 5 or 10 or 15 minute trader, as a stop out point. Mid-range for this entire pre-market session is 2163. So that would be a stretch. S&Ps are peeling off here as Dennis starts to put in some sell orders here. We've just come down under 2,900. So we may get a test of that close today. And we'll get you tomorrow. Dennis is already off here. EA, we did talk about this one momentarily. It did have that breakout, but it was not. Those gloves aren't for me. He's taking those gloves away from me. I thought I was going to get to keep them. Oh, now he's giving them to Andrew. EA, I don't know. The stock is still in the doghouse. Had the nice volume, the break over 116 that closed off that. If swing trade, you're leaning on the low of the move here, 110.98. So we covered that one. We covered VKTX. And
Baba and Baidu were mentioned.
Okay, Baba. Oh, boy, that stock is just having a hard time. Down 262 on the China news. I mean, I think until all these tariffs, and I think Jack Ma made a comment that, like, these tariff wars could go on for, like, 20 years. So I don't know if I could take that kind of volatility. But anyways, it's down in the pre-market, trading at the lows of the session. Right at 156 is your pre-market low. Trading right there. So there's some more work to do here. You're not getting a bounce off that pre-market low. Focusing on the low of the move. Well, 156.18. Wow, we are right there right now. So that's your 4-day low. Low of the move, 152.85. So if you really want to hold out for more on the downside in Baba, recent low of the move has been 152.85. We are just not bouncing though. So tough if you're some of these Chinese stocks. And then Baidu, that one's been selling off for a while. That's trading down, not as much, but that stock's been in the doghouse for quite some time, even before Baba. This turn before Baba. Low of the move, 208.50. I see that as a low, and that is actually almost double bottom, 207.95, but ways away from that. So Baidu, let's see if we can find another intermediate low here. 211.98 was your 4-day low, but this one doesn't seem to be getting hit as much as the Baba. On the upside, there'll be no upside for this stock until it clears 225. Pair of highs from Thursday and Friday at 224.62 and 225 even. Brester, did we get anything here? We've been leaking here like over the last 3 or 4 minutes. Is there?
Yeah, we got some new, some more China headlines here. I'm seeing
here
that
it is, right in front of me.
Yeah, I'm seeing that China is going to levy another $60 billion in taxes on U.S. goods, ranging between 5 and 10%. If the U.S. insists on raising its tariffs. So just more trade talk, more Trump comments. It's same old, same old.
Okay. We have BZ Tokyo asking about Bungie again. Prolonged downtrend in this stock. I think I would try and stay out of it on the long side until you cleared 65.45. That was a double top, and it was also flanked by a 65.24 high. So there's your, I'd say really good resistance there. Coming back on the downside, kind of trade the range here. You have 4 lows at the 63.50 area. So if you're thinking of picking it on the cheap, actually 4 lows at the 63.50 area. So 63.50, 65.50. That's your range in Bungie BG. So before we even got to the open, there are more comments bringing us off. Looks like we're going to test the close here. Your close is 96 even. Mid-range on the day is 93.75. So a little bit of too good of a rally to be true there. Are there any more stocks here that I missed?
MasterCard.
MasterCard?
Yep.
MA. Well, hit a new all-time high yesterday. Did it have a ratings change yesterday? Did someone up their price target, or was that on Visa or something?
No, it wasn't yesterday.
No? Okay. Made a new all-time high, but it kind of had a weak close. But 216.11, 216.42, those are your last 2 lows. So if you want to, play it tight, but perhaps as long as you hold 216, looks pretty good. This probably be a little bit market dependent. You made a new all-time high at 1998, but you did not make a new all-time closing high. That all-time closing high is 217.96. So that would be my focus number in that one. And then Lulu it got upgraded, or it got a price target change yesterday. Do you remember? I know you got the Lululemon. Someone said something positive about that.
Right. That was it Wells Fargo upgraded to outperform.
Okay, and I just want to mention on this one that you had the double top after the great earnings report, 159.79 and 160. Well, you managed to get through it on the open. Got to 160.68, but once it came back down through that level, you ended up selling off pretty good. The market did sell off too, 154.82. That was your low, 155.38 close. So still some institution, really targeting that 160 area in Lululemon. Okay, Spencer, right. You want to wrap things up and preview tomorrow's show?
Sure. That's going to do it for our Tuesday show. If you missed any part of it, you can catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, or youtube.com/Benzinga TV. Thanks to our guest, Nick Shaheen. Thanks to all of you in our chat rooms on premarket.benzinga.com and YouTube. Want to remind you folks that everything we say on our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Hope you all have a good day, and I hope you join us again on Wednesday.